Welcome back, one and all. Hello Frank, hello Martin. I'm Brendan. You're a listener. Hello guys.
I hate it when you throw to us at the same time
At the
because
same
then we
time.
don't know who we. It feels like
I don't want to play
classroom
favourites though.
thing.
I always feel bad
Hello,
for saying
Mr.
hello to
Brendan.
you, Frank, or first.
Why?
I don't know. That's
I kinda like
kind
it.
of in
It's
the
from
thing.
the days when I used to be in Sydney.
Yeah,
That's what
it
it's all
is.
about.
Yeah,
Yes,
and there
good
was the
call.
delay, and
Yeah,
so you
that's
came in
right.
later because of
Yeah.
Mm.
And you also just look down on me generally, don't you?
General. Look, I wasn't going to say it outright, but
No, it's okay. It's
I
in
mean,
your eyes.
he's the shortest one of all of us, so really he should be looking up.
I
to
am
both
a
of us.
little bit. We're all pretty comparable. You're not. Come on. Well, back to back. No, what?
Well,
Sorry, this is a podcast.
Back in the days when you had hair, it did add
I
that extra
did have
boof
more
to your
hair.
to your head.
Yeah. You know, I'm the tallest member of my immediate family. At a whopping 174 centimeters. That's not really saying much for my gene pool. Thanks, Dad, you short little man.
This episode of the Hammerbine Project is called And That's What It's All About.
Welcome, everyone, to the podcast that we do called the Hammerbine Project. I
think that's what
believe.
it is.
And we discuss and bark down, if you will. I'm going to use that.
Mm.
Bark down episodes of the Australian children's television program Bluey. And today, hopefully, is no different. But what's been going on in your lives, Martin? I was going to say both of you at the same time. Then I realized you said that was poor form. So I just,
Got it.
and then I thought I'll do one. And then I thought, mix it up. Martin first.
Yeah, but I haven't got anything to say.
Ah, you see, that's why.
That's why he throws to me
But,
first.
yeah.
Well,
mhm.
look, since we last recorded, I have had my birthday. I am 40-something years old. Not any wiser, I can tell you that. We had
in your 40s. What a loser.
we struggled mightily with Jack with the concept of birthday. Jack goes, "Cool, where are my presents?" And we're like, no, not your birthday, Daddy's birthday. And he's like, "Okay, so Daddy gets presents." Yeah. Where are my presents? He's like, Your birthday is not for a few weeks. We've got, in fact, Mummy's birthday comes before your birthday. Then it's Jack's. And he's like, "So Mummy gets presents?" "Yes." "Jack gets presents?" "Yes, but not today."
Not today.
And, it on and on we went.
It was Mums Don't Get Birthdays was last year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Mums
Yeah.
don't get birthdays.
He was, and yet the way we work it with Ali's family, because there's so many of them and it's hard to get everyone together at the same time. We do like 4 big family events across the year. So you have your summer babies, your winter babies,
Yeah, cool.
work it that way. So when the rest of the family come over, they were in fact celebrating Jack's birthday as part of that sort of quartet.
Nice.
So he's still got presents. So you go, I know why we do this, but you're really undermining my point right now.
Yeah, you're making me look stupid.
Yeah. And the present Jack got, as you guys have probably seen on the way in, the
How amazing.
perfectly Jack size John Deere trailer, tractor and complete with trailer,
So good.
self-powered, one of those battery things. You got to plug it in. He loves it.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
It is realistically an outside toy. Winter, not a great time to be driving around in a little thing that goes at 2 kilometers an hour. So he's been driving it inside. Very, very loud.
Mm-hmm.
Even worse, when he discovered it has an onboard stereo, and I use the word stereo loosely because it's got some of the most inbuilt.
Select range of tracks.
Look, in fairness, it does have an SD card, so I reckon you could load it up with your own songs. So I'm going to
Okay.
investigate that. But in the meantime, he's just going with the default thing, which sounds like a club song from the early 90s, I got to be honest, where it's just and he fist pumps as he's driving, one hand on the wheel, fist pumping the other, and as he circles past you, he's got his cowboy hat on because he's a farmer, right?
Yeah.
And he tips the hat and goes, "Good morning." And
This is a
repeat.
good morning. I love that.
There's some great footage of it. But
Now that's a
Oh,
kid
wow.
who knows who he is.
yeah,
100%.
going to be a farmer.
I
see.
I see toys like that, and I think, no, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. No, Brendan. It's not about
Not
you.
jealous.
It's not about what you didn't have. I'm happy for that child.
Mm.
And there was the other day you were like, "Hey, let's catch up," and you guys were like, "Yeah, but can we maybe come to your house because I don't know how the sharing's going to go with this."
Can you imagine
yeah.
Naomi and Jack trying to share that? Chaos.
Like when they get together, it's whatever the other kid's playing with
Yep.
is the most desirable thing,
Yep.
even if it hasn't been played with for months. Yeah, so that would be a nightmare.
That's
anyway,
where
they came round to ours. Yeah,
And the kids didn't share toys there as well.
No.
That's where being me is really fun because you just watch the chaos and like, then you go home and go to bed. But shall we take an episode and find those bare bones? Should we go digging for bare bones?
digging for bare bones.
Now, this is one time where I do always throw to Martin because your bare bone digging chops are unlike any others.
Maybe you failed again because I don't actually. No, I don't.
Can you imagine the one
Oh,
time?
wow, one time.
You know, one day we're just going to switch it on him. We're going to say, right, mate, we're going to do this episode. But in actual fact, switcheroo on the day and see what he comes up with zero preparation. Woo, I like
so
that
it's kind
idea.
of like every episode.
Oh, yeah, I'll say that.
Okay.
That's funny because it's true.
Okay. Sport. The opiate of the masses. A drug leading to altered modes of behavior and heightened emotions. Sports fans. Fans coming from fanatics, fanatical, describing extreme religious fervor, acolytes painting their bodies to engage in obscure bonding rituals. But too often, religious upbringing leading to differences in belief. Families rent asunder due to minor differences in sect or creed. Can't we all just remember that we're really just on the same team?
Oh, beautiful.
And
Scene.
You
know, other than this is probably the first time in a while where we haven't like sort of leaked what the episode, like, even hinted at the episode before throwing to Marty's bare bones. And even then, there might be some people going, hang on a second, boys. You've already done the cricket episode. What possible episode could we be talking about here?
Well, it's in the title.
Of the podcast you downloaded.
That you clicked on.
Details.
But
this episode of Bluey is called The Decider.
Yeah, it is.
Otherwise known as the episode that will now reveal how little Brendan knows about rugby.
And any of us, really.
Any of us?
I know a little bit, thanks to our mutual friend Luke. Although he will tell you he plays Union as opposed to League. Do not get those two things confused.
Yeah. Now, will you be able to? You'll be
Talking
able to
about
point out
religious
which
differences,
right?
You'll be able to point out which is which, do you? Because I get confused.
In terms of
sorry,
what?
Luke. In terms of whether State of Origin is one,
State of Origin is
and the Bledisloe Cup is
Bledisloe Cup is Union.
Okay.
So one has a square field, and the other one has
One
has a
through
round
the triangle
ball.
window.
One of the balls looks like a Skittle. The other one looks like a.
and the other one has three balls,
M&M.
which are used in a multi sort of Right. I have got no idea.
Multi-ball.
So for those who have seen the episode, if you're an international or a probably from any state outside of New South Wales and Queensland in Australia, you might be going, what is this sport? Who's the Maroon team? Who's the blue team? What we're talking about is what's referred to in Australia as the NRL, and there are lots of teams that take place in the regular competition. This game in particular is referring to State of Origin. And think of it in an NBA context, it's like the All-Star weekend where the regular sides take a breather, they pick the best of the best, and this State of Origin refers to where you were born. Were you born in Queensland, where of course Bluey's from, or were you born in the next state down, Sydney? And for whatever reason...
New South Wales, Sydney is...
Same.
Yeah,
but yes, New South Wales, you're right.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, despite the fact that players come to play this game from all over Australia, it's always been those two states. There was, I think, several years ago, like a concept of like an everyone else team type thing that had players from, South Australia, Western Australia, wherever else they came from. Didn't really work. It's for whatever reason, this sport is really big in only two states of our country. There was an Adelaide team for a while.
Really?
The Rams?
Yeah, the Rams.
Yeah, I remember having a Rams ball that I got from school, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
They tried to make that fly.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, it is big in Melbourne. The Melbourne Storm have won X number of premierships in the competition in the last few years. They're quite a big, powerful club. But yeah, so this State of Origin is regarded as the peak. It's one step down from wearing the national colours.
Yeah.
And it's huge. You are either a Queenslander or you're a New South Welshman and never in between shove your meat.
Yeah, I just,
So yeah, really reflected in this episode.
even though I am ashamed at how little I know about rugby, I do this just watching sport as a kid. This episode, lots of it really resonates with me. Oh, did we actually give you a chance to say what it's really about?
What's this episode
No,
really
I
about?
Oh, please, what is this episode really about, Martin?
There's this sport.
And
ends. No, basically, everybody's come together to watch this big sport game, as the guys have been describing, between these two sort of neighbouring states in Australia, which kind of causes there's effectively a rupture in Lucky's family,
Yeah.
Lucky's dad's family. What's their last name?
I don't know.
Because they're not the
Unknown.
Retrievers.
No.
Because they're Labradors, aren't they?
Yeah.
Kind
yeah.
of.
Is there Golden Labs?
Golden Labs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
good
don't think
question.
it's ever
Anyway,
actually
I wonder if they do
stated,
have
but yeah.
a episode.
the Lucky's dad
Good one.
family.
Lucky's dad family.
Because Chucky's trying to decide which side he wants to be with, whether it's the purple or maroon side with his dad, or the blue side with his mum. And yeah, it's a really beautiful like decision making. But then we get a nice resolution at the end,
Yeah.
which is really sweet.
Yeah.
When we're
Oh,
all on the
boy.
same team,
It's
except for
genius.
Mackenzie.
You got that?
Got it. No
Yeah.
question. Just got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like that, and I know we're jumping straight to the end,
Yeah.
so I'm going to take us back to the beginning.
Hey, nice.
But no, actually, I'm not going to do that at all. The
You
See,
did yourself
you
at
couldn't
everything.
even do it.
no,
You can't. You don't have the
Well,
ability.
you've brought it up. You've literally said the last few lines of the episode, and that concept of a team that everyone supports is actually something that's part of why I love cricket the way I do. For sort of growing up in my sort of formative years, we're talking about AFL, which is a bit more of a national sort of football code that
Yeah.
everyone plays. My dad.
Sorry, you go, and then I'll.
Okay.
Sorry.
We can, and again, we're from South Australia, Adelaide, not a big rugby playing state, so we're going to probably make AFL comparisons for a lot of this. But my dad, mad Sydney Swan supporter, and I ended up being Adelaide Crows, and I got sort of dragged into it because of that, and to the point where when the Crows would play the Swans, there was legit tension in our house, and I only found out years later that my mum and my sister would leave the house because things got that tense between me and my dad. And once I sort of became aware of this, I watched my dad's emotions when he saw the Sydney. He'd been supporting the Swans for 50 years, never seen them win a premiership. I was lucky enough to see the Crows win 2 premierships before I was 18.
That
sort
was
of thing.
bonkers.
Yeah,
I
right.
remember that.
And my dad at the time said to me, just goes, "You need to appreciate this."
Yeah.
And he's right. Like they're not
And I'm
looking like
glad
they're gonna.
I did appreciate it
Yeah.
because it hasn't happened again.
Oh no. But anyway, it was that real tension. You talk about the tribes, Marty,
Yeah.
and just ideological differences based on colours of all things.
Yeah.
And so then, I'd always had cricket was always the secondary sport. And then as I became aware of this, hell, I'm causing my mum and my sister to leave the house. This is dumb. Why am I so invested in this? And cricket sort of crept up to number 1. And when people ask you, "Oh, which do you prefer, footy or cricket?" I was like, everyone's on the same team with cricket. We're all Australians. Do you know what I mean? And even if you don't, follow the sport as closely as I do, like you sit there and go, "Oh, Aussies beat the English. You're a beauty." Like, do you know what I mean? It's that same sort of mentality. Granted, some people still paint themselves in green and gold and boxing kangaroos and all that sort of rubbish. That's not for me personally. But I just love that it's sport bringing people together in the cricket example, whereas as is displayed in this episode, it can cause genuine rifts in a family. And I've sort of lived that.
And if you've
firsthand.
got Indian friends or Kiwi friends, you might not be able to unite under the same cricket team banner, but at least you can unite under the banner of just hating the English cricket team.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
So that's what's also beautiful about
everyone
cricket.
other than the very tippy top of the Northern Hemisphere are all united in one team.
Yeah.
My enemy's enemy is my friend.
But I just thought I'd pick up one thing, because if you can't use your family-friendly podcast to air your grammatical, semantic, pedantic grievances, then when
Press the
no.
button.
I
Come
just,
on, let's hear it.
I just people like the probably the biggest sport under the football umbrella in this country is Australian rules football.
Mhm.
And when people call it AFL football, it really bugs me. And no, I know I might be the only one, but honestly,
I get it.
it's like AFL is the league and AFL is the business, the corporation. But I just want people to know that the sport is bigger than that. It's not like you kick the footy at school, you know, you go down the park with your mates and you kick the footy. And it's like saying, like, if you were a soccer fan, it's like going, oh, do you want to go play some FIFA? You want to go kick the FIFA? Or do you want to?
Yeah, but I didn't say let's kick the AFL. Like,
yeah, I know.
But you're saying I refer to it as AFL
the game.
football.
Yeah. But everybody does that. I think I might be the only one who.
I was trying to translate that, you know,
rings that bell
for internationals who don't know what an AFL is.
Yeah.
That it is. You're right. It's a league, Australian football league.
I just when people say, well, what kind of footy do you like? I like AFL footy. It's like no,
trigger.
No, it's Australian rules football. The name of the code is Australian rules football. It's not AFL. It's like saying that all like I don't know.
I like the FIFA soccer.
Yeah. And like, oh, do you like? Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of another example other than FIFA.
There's only one thing that Australians like more than sport, and that's winning at sport.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we are pretty ungracious.
Yeah,
when it comes to
it's
that.
like because we haven't had many wars really from Australia, so it's kind of like we focus on sport.
Yeah.
It's kind of where we have to invest all our emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's,
I wonder how old people are when they realize that, because maybe I should have realized that when I was younger, but now as an adult I'm like, wow, that's pretty icky. It's a bit like I look at some of the antics of like some of the international Australian teams. I'm like, wonder if people think we're jerks. But maybe that's just sport. I don't know. I
think it depends on the sport and stuff like, you know, the big ones we're talking about. I'm sure there is a pedigree that's built up. You know, if you make the Australian cricket team, you're some sort of alpha. If you're, you know, I don't think there's a lot of humble Australian sports people. Unfortunately, they're not typically, and there is exceptions to that. They're not typically the ones that do really well or are the number one in their chosen field. Those sorts of characters are few and far between, I would say.
Anyway, I'm going to take us back to the start of the episode.
He did it.
There you go. See, this is how I think the start of the episode, now I'm going to take yours, Frank, shows us the real hero of this episode.
Oh, man,
He's done both.
But because it appears in the first couple of seconds, so I got to mention it. I think the real hero of this episode is the person who thought through the sport animations that are going on the screen.
That is true.
It's so accurate.
The energy of the crowd, the lighting.
I just mean the animations of like the purple and blue boxes that move around the screen.
Oh,
and
right.
like
The
way
actual,
people slide onto the screen.
The broadcast transitions.
Yeah, the broadcast animation.
All the on-screen display and everything.
Yes,
yeah, that is
stuff.
brilliant. That's probably taken straight from
There's such a Marty thing to look for, right? Oh, I see the overhead display is working. Well, that's a good UI you've got there. Like,
it situates it so well.
It does actually.
Like,
that's a good point.
I haven't been talking too much. I don't watch a huge amount of. No, I don't really watch much sport. Like, I'm not completely sport averse. But that very quickly goes, oh yeah, you're watching sport because it's changed. I think in the last few years.
Yep.
It's cheaper to do, so they've got more and more flair to it.
Yep.
And so when that comes on screen, that just sticks out to me so much.
Yeah, it's those
the superhero sort of.
Yeah, the guys with their arms crossed that are superimposed with the logo.
Yeah.
What they've clearly
and
had
they kind of have a moment.
That's
where
right.
They just
and they've had to do this
action.
photo shoot with every possible player because you never know who's going to be the star on the day. In front of a green screen, they've got these images cropped out so that when such and such who's played 10 games of horrible football suddenly has a blinder, they can bring him up on screen with crossing his arms with a wink and everything to go, little Johnny's had a cracker. Like,
have you seen the Key and Peele sketch where they've got all the American football, like the college footballers introducing themselves.
Oh
No.
god.
All the gridiron players just kind of like, and they're saying their names, but their names just get increasingly ridiculous. and the names of this, it's I
Key
think
and Peele, that's all you need to say.
Key and Peele. I guess it's college football.
Right.
I did look at college football players.
Speaking of the player
Worth looking.
names,
Very silly.
how many player names did you pick out from the commentary?
I got Bucko and Flogger, which are all great.
I got Zippy.
Like Zippy,
It's a quick
that's
one,
another
like
good one.
and it's hard to hear. You almost
Sorry.
want to like delete the rest of the audio and just listen to the commentators, because that's a bit like the Adam Hills thing where
Yeah.
there was so much stuff that you couldn't hear through the mix because it's all.
Do we
turned
know?
down.
Do we know who the commentator is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
Uh,
say because that voice is perfect.
Well,
So
there's
they're
a
gonna
reason
be-
for that.
yeah.
That's Ray Warren, who is pretty much regarded as the voice of
The
rugby
voice,
league.
yeah.
The voice
Right?
of rugby.
And people
Yeah.
just go, oh, well, that doesn't make sense to them. So I've got some other comparisons from other sports.
Okay,
You've
yeah,
got,
Craig Willis. Is it Craig Willis? Voice of the AFL.
yeah, that's a good one. I didn't have AFL on my list. The obvious one for an Australian is you go, well, the Richie Benno, right?
Yep.
It's
Okay,
that
yep.
voice you associate with the sport. But for some of our internationals, Murray Walker with the Formula One.
Yes,
yep,
big
okay,
time.
yep.
Yeah.
I went with NBA. Now, I don't know this
I don't
voice,
know.
but any of our Americans who love their NBA, Mike Breen is regarded as the voice of the NBA. And Vin Scully is someone, which is a wild name, is apparently the guy you want to listen to if you're listening to the baseball or Major League Baseball.
There you go. Shout out to those
The baseball?
golden
But
voices.
Also in the credits, and I think it's once the game itself is done and there's like a bit of voiceover
Yeah.
about Queensland celebrating, I think that's Jonathan Thurston's, because his name is in the credits. Jonathan Thurston's
right.
is regarded as one of the best Queensland players of all time. He
there
won
you go.
best on ground and all this sorts of stuff, through and through
Yeah.
Queenslander. And I can just imagine Joe going, I get to talk to Jonathan Thurston. Hey, mate, do you want to be on the show? Like,
Yeah.
woohoo! Like,
They don't
That would
miss
be
a
huge.
trick this show. Guys, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put myself out there and say that I think Bluey is a good show. I think they're pretty good
definitely up
guys.
there, isn't it?
It's
They
got
don't
places,
miss.
yes.
Yeah.
So going back to the start.
Yeah. Anyway, so they got the big screen in the two,
Yes.
and the
Oh,
girls are
that's the
playing
sheet.
with it.
The
big
sheet hung up
And,
on the
like,
gutter.
I
So
didn't notice it the first couple of times because I was too enamored by the animations, by the broadcast animations. But the girls are playing with the sheet and just like
Of
waving
course
it
they are,
around.
because you would be.
Yeah, that's 100%. And they've got the projector set up, and I love you can see the cable going across the floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Like a temporary thing. And
And
I
it-
love the difference between the female run viewing party for just one. She's got popcorn and everything.
Yeah.
And the blokes just go, oh, just got some jerky.
Is there food?
There's
there's some
yeah.
jerky.
Doesn't
And
even
pizza's
take his
coming.
eyes off
Yeah.
the sheet.
Yeah, that's it.
You
He's
can
just
tell
sort
the
of
one that's been
padding
catered for.
around
Yeah.
trying to find the jerky.
Now, is this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the debut of Chucky? As in, like, his
Ooh,
little
that's
brother?
That is a good
question.
question. Potentially,
I got a
because
feeling it
think
is.
before this point we never really.
Is Chucky in school with anyone? Or in daycare with anyone? Or
If
You
he
might
is,
have
I'm not
seen him
sure.
in the
If he is, he
background.
might just be like a background
he's
character.
probably
But I feel like this is the
between-
first time we've.
Because Lucky's a
seen
little
his
bit
name.
older than Bluey.
Yeah.
Lucky would be a
Yes.
little bit older, and then is Chucky
Oh.
in between Bluey and Bingo? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like
that's
this.
a good
At
question.
best, it might be that this is the first time they've been referenced by name. You're right; they
Mhm.
might have
Mm.
appeared in like a preschool sort of shot or something like that. But
Wait a minute, whose birthday is being had? Is it Lucky's birthday when they're like, you're handling it for
Ooh,
the
you might
pass
be,
the pass?
you
Or
might be
is that
right.
Chucky's or Lucky's birthday?
That's a good question. It's a good question.
To the
We're
internet.
supposed to- We're supposed to know these things.
AKA, write in and tell us because we're not going to look it up right
We're
now.
supposed to know these things.
Is it Chucky or Lucky's? I'm trying to remember, but I can't. Anyway, yeah, but I think it's really cute, the relationship that Bluey and Chucky
Yeah,
have.
yeah,
It's
so
really
good.
sweet. Can I help you choose? Oh,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yeah. That's really polite because like Bluey loves to run things.
Yeah.
And would be like, oh, but is polite enough to say, can I help you choose? Rather than, no, I'm going to help you choose.
Yeah.
So she's checked herself and said, can I help you choose? Whereas Chucky's very different and was just leaps at the chance of someone running the show and taking the lead. It's just a really, really nice seeing very different kids blend and
Yeah.
interact so nicely.
And I think it speaks to that, Bluey hasn't been indoctrinated the same way that Lucky
Yeah.
has,
Mhm.
because she's a bit ambivalent towards
There was
us.
no
She just goes,
need. There was no need
Yeah.
to because it was always accepted that they were all Maroons fans.
Yeah.
Even though I'm blue, which is it's very confusing.
It's very looking at Lucky and the way he's reacting to stuff, he's also looking at the adults.
Yeah.
There's some shots there where he's
Yeah.
looking at
Quite
the adults.
like-
He doesn't know quite how to react.
Yeah.
So it really is this thing of like, are you in the circle of like adults who are? It reminds me a bit of Stumpfest, where it's kind of like this is adults playing a game because
Gotcha.
they're in
Yeah.
this experience space.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like Bluey's from the outside looking in, with the whole thing of like, this is when the
Yeah.
adults dance. It's my
Yeah.
favorite bit. The way
Yeah.
that, so Lucky's in that sort of transitional phase, which is really interesting when he pokes Chucky and says, no, you have to choose one side.
Yeah.
Like he's 100% on, he's
Yeah,
old
he's
enough
sort
to
of
have
already
been
been through that.
forced into
Yeah.
that. And that's how his school friends are probably treating
That's it.
him. So, you can get around it for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So, it's just really interesting the way they show those different levels of being in
Yeah.
the game, in, this,
Yeah, that's
this
awesome.
alternate
Yeah.
world.
That's true. I do love that line. Even though I'm blue, it's very confusing. I think that's that could be said to be a larger statement for the show Bluey
Yeah.
being made in Queensland, and they're all probably Maroons fans.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we like kind of that's a little wink, a little thinly veiled a way of telling the world, yes. Yes, the show's called
We know
Bluey.
she's blue.
Everything's blue, but you need to know
She's a Queensland
that
girl.
Queensland forever. Yeah.
I made it sound like, Lucky's been sort of brainwashed or whatever.
Mm.
But so it was really nice to see, and skipping ahead a bit, but when, it's halftime and the parents are saying, and I was waiting for the first time I saw it, Pat and or Janelle to go, no, you're with me. But they said, no, you can choose. And Lucky's the one who, too young to sort of grasp the concept. He's like, he has to choose. And the parents were like, hey, he can do what he wants.
Yep.
And that, I think, is a really beautiful message to, like, rather than say you have to choose mum or dad, which is kind of like, it's really refreshing to see that.
Or be trying to, you should come with me. We've got popcorn.
Yeah,
and, like,
there was
Yeah.
no bribery going on.
you know,
That's
like-
true. It would have been so easy to do that.
Yep.
It would have been so easy to tell that
come with
story.
us and,
But they don't do that. Once again, this show just rising above the obvious, and just doing something better and deeper.
Like, Dad, don't boo Mum.
Yes,
It's
that's a
such
great line.
It's a great line, and he kind of shows, if this is the first time we've seen Chucky, it's the first time he's had much to do, really, I guess, if more than anything else. But I love that he's also like, because he's so short, he's got his feet up on the banisters.
Yeah.
So they've had to position him such that he's just kind of like propped up on those banisters. But is that whole thing of like, it's dealt with in a very sweet way for a lot of it. So, but then you get your bunch of cheese.
Yeah, that's so good.
But even when Lucky does choose, rather than Pat being smug and like, you can see Pat's got that little flick of disappointment, just going, oh man, that's going to hurt my wife. And I can imagine it would be exactly the other way.
And the way
depending on
he
which
kind
way
of
Lucky went.
puts his arm around Chucky and then walks off and looks back, it's kind of like it is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And I think
it is. I feel like there's a conversation that goes on there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, are you sure? Okay,
You're gonna be
And then
okay,
she
yeah.
nods.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's this is
The
what another
animation of the smiles
Yeah.
when Chucky's standing in the middle ready to
Looking.
choose, and
choice.
it goes to Pat,
Beautiful.
and he kind of smiles, and
Ah.
it goes to Janelle, and the animation of Janelle's smile, it's hopeful, but
Prepared for disappointment almost.
but not expecting anything,
Yeah.
but kind of unsure. How do you
animate that with a smile?
How do you do that with a line?
And it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I do love
Do you
that.
think we're projecting? I don't know. We're projecting very much.
But I do love that. In that, I think that this episode has got a little bit of something for everyone, whether you're a sports fan or not. Like, if you think sport is pointless and silly, like you get to look at that moment and go, oh, look at isn't it weird that that's having an effect on their relationship? But if you think that sport is life, this episode is also
fires you up.
celebratory.
Yep.
Yeah.
And really fun. And you so yeah, I don't know. I like the kind of all-encompassing kind of thing.
But hey, can we talk about the real star of this episode?
Oh, he's done
Oh.
it. He's taken his
second.
back.
Are you calling Bingo the second-rate star of this
Oh.
episode?
No, I was saying you were the second person to use that phrase.
Yeah.
Because I'm backpedaling.
Oh, boy.
Bingo is the star. of this
I'm
episode.
with you on that
And
one.
that is a Brendan moment. I
Yeah.
saw that. I'm like, the sleepy eyes, that is what
Oh,
Brendan loves.
Big time. Big
Yeah.
time.
And it's
And
that
the
thing again that
sleepy way.
Joe's spoken about is that there's the main story, and then here's what's going on for the kids. They're like, "Oh, Bingo's falling asleep,"
I love it.
and then she wakes up just at that. I mean, in reality, the odds of that ever happening
Yeah.
are ridiculous.
It is-
But
Frank,
hey,
it's
let's
quite
just go
Frank.
with it. Let's go with it. And it's amazing.
Yeah,
she
tell
wakes
that to
up
Bingo.
just at
She
the right
never
moment.
doubted it.
And she's got this instead
Yeah,
of
she
like
didn't.
jumping up and down and getting excited. She's like, sleepy wave.
Yeah.
And then just goes back to
There
sleep.
you
I'm
go.
like,
Of
brilliant.
course. Like not even really excited, but she's like, oh, there it is. Of course. It's
That's what Mum
like
said.
seeing Mum when she's picking me up from school, or seeing Mum when I walk past her room.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like Mum's gonna be there. Hey, Mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, now I can go back to sleep.
I also think it was the sensible option to have the mums go to the game, because if Bandit and those yobbos ended up at the game, they're coming home in the back of a police van.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's the kind of night that spawns the Avatar on the sign
Okay.
episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
With
yeah. The melon hats?
Yeah, with the melon hats.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the boys' version of this girl's night. But I do love I do love Bingo, like being so secure in the knowledge that she would see Mum on
And
the TV.
Bandit
She's
tries to
gonna
prep
wave
it,
to
just
me
going,
from the
oh, she said she
She
tried.
tried.
another episode, a whole other episode could be about expectation and being disappointed like
Yeah.
that. But I do love the way they played it in this, where she just like, no, you watch, and then it dies, and
happened?
she's like, see,
Told ya.
and I think that's so fun.
It just reminds me of, I think it's a stand-up comedian or somebody talking about, if you say, can we do this? Yeah, maybe. That's like a blood pact to a toddler. It's like, you will
You
definitely do
said,
that.
we'll
You
see.
said we'll see. Maybe we can, maybe later. That's so that I really do like that talk. Well, she said she'd try,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she probably didn't even sell it that hard.
We'll see was often my mum being defeated. We'll see
We'll
was
see.
often
Yeah.
gonna have to be yes later, because she'd say no if she meant no, but a we'll see was like, oh, we just have to bide our time. Speaking of things that could have gone another way, like they could have played it as a lesson, and Bingo ends up just being sure and then is vindicated. A sort of other side of that is the way the tension, especially between Pat and Janelle, is going. You think, oh, that's kind of actually quite. It gets toward the end of the episode, and you're like, oh, this is actually kind of sad, because she is genuinely sad, and like what you said, Frank, it does genuinely create tension in households.
Yep.
But the way they brought it around wasn't cliche, like a real 1980s American family sitcom way of doing it would be. They would have sat down and say, hey, and it would have, like, they would have come to a really the music would have come in, and they would have come to a heartwarming sort of. But this, they just turn it on its head and go, well, yeah, that is how it is, and there's no resolution to that, because she'll always be a blues fan, he'll always be a Maroon fan, and then they say, well, what else can we do? The one banner.
But that one of the things
I
it
see
does take us back to the start. There's a lot of good couplets in this one,
there it is.
because there we go.
Left,
But there
right,
honestly
center.
are, because at the very start of the episode, like the first line is, it's like the second line is like, oh, look you out when Bandit comes in, which is a great default parent line.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones you
Look
keep in
out.
your look out. Oh, here comes trouble.
This is another, and this is another real Marty thing to notice. I don't know whether you pointed it out to me or whether I just thought of you when I noticed it, or whether we've spoken about this before, but the fadedness of the Guernseys.
No.
You call them Guernseys in Aussie rules. Is it jerseys, Guernseys, tops, the
six tops.
rugby tops?
Potato, tomato.
Shirts.
Yeah.
T-shirts.
But like Pat's is like obviously been through the wash.
Yeah,
He's had it for a long time.
Yeah.
And whereas Lucky's is like brand spanking.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like older style. the one that Lucky has. It's just kind of like a polo shirt.
And that's just a nice little detail
It's a
because
nice little
it
touch,
just shows the life of the team and the life of the changing of the.
Yeah.
And it's just like people still rock their old. Someone came into the post office just recently with a vintage Adelaide Crows top on, and it had the old logo. I'm like, I remember when the logo looked like that.
But couplets.
Couplets, sorry.
So that's one
the
end.
couplets.
One end is like, look out.
Did I interrupt you mid couplet?
Yeah, you did.
A crime.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Right.
So the other end of the couplet.
Did I just do it again?
I'll just get this ready.
You think he's joking?
Couplet. The other part is Chili does it when the family Lucky's dad rocks up. She does it. I was like, oh, look out when they come in, which is hilarious because they both got exactly the same like default line.
Yeah.
Before Bandit comes in, of course, painted again. But the other one that like it comes back to the idea of under the same banner. The other couplet is like, oh, is there a gold team?
Yes, I noticed that.
It's just
just
purple
then.
and blue.
So
we get a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
And like,
And
there's a
even
gold
though
team.
I'm
There's a
like-
gold team.
And just
Which is
the
a
idea of
line filled with so much joy and exuberance.
Because we're all gold.
Yeah,
Like-
we're all gold.
Yeah.
Like mum and dad are both on it.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
And that end moment
Wagging
with the
tail.
hug, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's like, woo!
Sorry, Brendan, you were going to say, I'll let you say something now. Yeah.
Was
just,
I? I can't remember.
Oh, sorry.
That was worth an
Yeah,
interruption,
maybe
wasn't
you can,
it?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
you can just interrupt me again in a minute when you remember it.
Yeah, sure. No worries. We'll do.
Thanks, Flogger.
we just looked at each other waiting for the other one to talk so that we could interrupt one another. And we
It's
just
like
kept
talk
waiting.
chicken.
Yeah. It was like
Great on a podcast.
This podcast ain't big enough for the both of us.
Worth pointing out the Australia v Kiwi game that sort of takes place at the end. For our international listeners, Australia suck in those matches. To be completely
The
honest.
All Blacks are
The All Blacks,
pretty
I'm pretty
unstoppable.
sure, and I might have my numbers wrong, but I think the last time Australia won one of those series is like 2002 or something like that. Like they just New Zealand is just better. Quite simply. So, I get the passion and, Bandit once again painting himself in head to toe. But Team Mackenzie, pretty unbeatable.
Yeah, he doesn't have to
Mackenzie.
worry about what's going on.
Yeah.
He knows
He
he's going to
doesn't
come
know
out of
what's
it.
going
Yeah,
on.
he doesn't know.
This
He
is,
doesn't
I
worry
think
about it.
I
It's just like-
nearly got hit with the rolled up newspaper a while back because I mentioned this episode just because of how much I love Mackenzie and Mackenzie's aloofness.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
Mackenzie
Yeah.
doesn't know what's going on or what's being spoken about, he's got the best attitude. He's just like, what?
What?
What's going on?
Huh?
Really? Mackenzie's got, I am? What some of my favorite line deliveries is just Mackenzie going, "Oh yeah," or they
Am I?
don't.
Yeah.
Am I?
Yes,
Like
yes.
we don't walk on sheep, Mackenzie. You don't. Or like Mackenzie's supposed to be a cheater. I am. And we're gonna flog you. No, you're not. And just what's going on? Mackenzie's just
Also,
the
that
best.
scene, it's worth pointing out, the healers live at the top of a cul-de-sac, as we know, right?
Mhm.
So the Mackenzie's family have gone out of their way on match day when
Oh,
the
yeah,
match
yeah,
to
yeah.
Yeah.
drive
Oh, they've
past their house
definitely
so they
gone
can
around
hurl
that.
abuse
Yeah.
at each other. I think that's wonderful.
Brilliant. It's a beautiful thing.
It's all planned. All planned.
And just the embrace, that final shot, the embrace of like Chucky's mum and dad and him, and it's very nice. That's what it's all about.
Well, two things. Potentially even, no, three things actually.
How will he decide? See what I did?
Best of three.
Even better. Yours was way better than mine.
Long Dog.
Oh, I
Oh.
didn't know. Missed
Really?
it. Yeah.
No, it's fairly apparent, this one. It's not one of the crazily hidden ones. It's
I'm not a parent.
Oh,
Thank you
Is
very much.
that a thing? I hesitated.
that was good.
I don't know
Thank
if
you
that's
very
worth
much.
it. But
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
No, it's in a there's a bucket of toys in Lucky's house, in Chucky's house.
right.
Just in the back corner, and it's sitting on top of there quite prominently.
Mm.
One of the other things in the Lucky's dad's family household, which might indicate where Janelle comes from. Did you notice it on the back wall?
I'm guessing some
fill
sort
me
of
in.
a
I
map,
love it. I
like-
love it already. Whatever it is, I love it.
I feel like it's a picture of the Blue Mountains, which is, a place in New
Okay.
South
Wales,
Wales.
yeah.
So I think it might, I forget what it's potentially called, the Three Sisters or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a particular rock formation. It looks like it's suggesting that.
Yeah,
Which
nice.
would be realistic because that's, what the whole episode is about.
Mm.
So, but yeah, that seems to be in the background there.
There you
yeah.
go.
Hit me up if you think you've got a better idea of what that
Yeah,
is or whether
it's
I'm
not
wrong.
bad. That's
But,
two.
the coloration of the picture, it's called the Blue Mountains because everything's so far away, so you get the blue tinge.
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah, and it's something about the I learned this on the Curiosity
Was it
show
the
recently.
air quality.
Yeah,
or
the
something?
air quality and the actual density and the moisture in the air and just the way it refracts the light and causes a blue hue.
Blue hue. There
There
you
you
go.
Ooh.
So the picture seems to have that sort of blue hue. So it's a potential there. So that was
That
blue,
was-
1, 2,
Two.
And the decider.
Oh, have
Oh.
I forgotten the third thing? I'm gonna look at my notes. Oh no.
Well, that's what it's all
Oh.
about.
Wait, yes, I've got it. So immediately after they get the first try,
Yeah.
the boys are like, yeah! And then Bandits just turns around and just starts texting.
Oh, I
yeah,
missed that.
Yeah,
That's so
he just
cool.
sits there and just
yeah, I
starts texting.
saw that.
Now, who is he texting?
Is he
He's texting any of his New South Wales mates.
This is it.
Yeah.
Because
that's exactly what
originally
it
I
is.
thought, oh, that's cute. He's texting Chili.
Yeah,
She's
I
at
thought
the
maybe.
game. Like, she's at the game. Like, what's he actually, what's he texting? Yay, we got to try. No, he's most certainly texting his New South Wales mates and go like,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
How do you
Yeah.
like that? What do you mean no try?
And that's the one that gets contended,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
they dismiss
There
it.
you go.
And
No
then
try.
you pack of cheaters.
I love she's got
such a good
You're
line.
the cheats, boo. I love she's got her hand cupped
Yeah.
behind her ear, and it's just a tiny, just a few frames of her going, "Yeah, I'm listening,
Yeah.
listening to this abuse you're hurling."
What do you think of that, Janelle? Just thumbs
Thumbs
down.
down.
So
I kind
really
of
good.
feel
Great
that
Janelle in this one.
in a non
Great Janelle.
in a non-kid show that might be a very different hand signal. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
it might just be. It might just be.
Just to bring it back around to that, we were talking about how do you indicate all these emotions just with a couple of lines.
Oh boy.
Like when Janelle's walking away disappointed, or
Yeah.
when they're doing that interaction across the lawn. I've probably mentioned it before. There's a Jim Henson thing about. There you go. You can dig
Jim
me if you
Henson.
like.
Here it
There's
is.
a lot of things this
Been a
episode.
while. There we go. Saying that if you can see the puppets thinking, then
Yeah.
you know you've done a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like
nice.
so that sort of thing. So like in an episode like this,
Yeah.
and we're reading so much into it, and there's just a little bit,
Yeah.
there's just a few lines there. I think that's a moment. I
Yeah.
remember that phrase,
Brilliant.
and they're thinking about, okay,
Yes.
you've done something right.
Oh man, that Henson, he knew what he was on about.
One or two things, yeah. Anyway.
Oh,
That
man.
him Jensen. Oof.
Him Jensen. Him Jensen. I tell you what. But the capturing of the mood of watching sport as a kid, like falling asleep. Because a lot of these Friday night matches, when you're in primary school and you're watching the Crows on a Friday night,
Late.
and that your
Late
mum and dad let you stay up late to watch the end of the game,
Mm.
and sometimes I just couldn't make it. I was
Yeah.
dozing and just watching bingo. I'm like, I feel you, kid.
Yeah.
But there's something about the lighting and I want to go and watch some rugby over at the Healers' house, or
Yeah.
Janelle's house.
But that the shot you mentioned about, I didn't pick up on it, but Lucky looking to the adults for guidance. I love that because that's Lucky's got, yep, I support this team, but then you get these contentious
Yeah.
rules and that's him learning the game.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that with cricket, which has more rules than any other sport. Why is that not out? I don't understand. And you look to dad, or the classic one in cricket, gets hit on the pad, and they all appeal. And then you, as the watcher, have a split second to make a decision and verbalize it. Just go, nah, it's going down leg. Whereas I, as a kid, just went, it's got to be out. And then you'd learn that skill over time. Like,
yeah, this is what I think. Maybe my eyes don't have the right frame rate because I watch you blokes like be able to take in all the information on a cricket delivery and just go, nah, that's that, and that was the time, and that sound came from that, and then I'm like, am I watching the same thing and the same fidelity as you?
It's just sheer repetition and practice.
Yeah.
Because for years I was the same thing. I was like, oh,
like, how do you get
but then
that?
you learn to go, well, where's it here? What has the ball done for the rest of the day? Is it bounce high? Is it bounce low?
Let alone the bloody commentators who are at the ground, like so far away. Just, I suppose that's their repetition of watching it from half a field away.
Yeah, that's it.
Hats off to you all. I'll just play some video games, and not very well.
So is it perhaps time for some credit where credit's
Maroon? I would say yes, indeed. So let us cue the drums. And I will tell you right now that today's very, very special, very different, very unique credit where credit's Maroon goes unto credit where credit's purple.
The credits were literally purple.
They literally were. I love that. I love that when
such a nice touch.
Where were we? The credit where credit is less so blue and more so Queensland goes to animator Madeline Parker Hill. Hooray! Madeline, thank you so much. You've been in the animation department according to my trusty IMDb, which is often not very trusty. Since
sometimes rusty, less than trusty.
Looks like sometimes rusty, less than trusty. But Madeline appears to have joined the team in season 3, and I'm ever so glad that Madeline did. Thank you for putting what you put into this show. You are an integral part, and we are grateful. So credit where credit's Maroon unto you.
Good on you, Mazza.
Oh, you swapping it up. Frank's doing that.
Yeah, you can have that one. Because really, aren't we all on the same team?
Aren't we all? I think we are.
There's been a lot of argy-bargy in this episode, really. There's like there's 3 different teams going on here. And
well, on that, correct me if I'm wrong, Brady, you were born in New South Wales, yes?
I was born in Penrith, New South Wales.
I was born in Brisbane.
Well, look at
I am finding this out
Did you not
right
know
now. Did you know this?
Maybe.
We should just go all out. Okay, that's our new thing on this podcast.
Right.
You're just a huge Maroons fan.
Yep.
And I'm just a huge Blue fan.
We're going to get found out real quick.
Yeah. We've already been found out. We've already admitted. I don't even know the difference between league and union. I'm so sorry, Joe. So sorry, Joe Bro.
Admitted and broadcast.
If he'd known that, if he'd known how little I knew about rugby, I don't know if he'd come on the podcast.
I mean, I was born in Brisbane. We moved to South Australia when I was 2.
Yeah.
So I remember very little of it. My sister, who is 2 years younger than me, swears she remembers the back steps in our house. And I'm like, you were like 2 months old. Shut up.
Yeah.
But, the only time that ever really comes up is when the State of Origin is on.
Gotcha.
And people I just go, yeah, I'm just going to go for Maroons. And thankful for me, they're kind of the dominant force over the last sort of 20 odd years.
Oh, anything to say about that, Brendan? As a native New South Welshman?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you don't know, where do you get your popcorn? We got popcorn where I am. I don't know where you come from.
All right. We're all part of the gold team.
Yes, we are. That's what it's all about.
Except for your mate, Jermaine Clement.
You got that? Brett McKenzie. Oscar-winning Brett McKenzie.
Yes.
Or in a Jim Henson related film.
Oh.
So we should throw our own sports watching party, for all those sports that we watch.
Yep.
And we need to get a sheet. We need to get some material. We need to hang up from the gutters with some of those craft clamps.
Yep. Or maybe something more, I don't know, hardware.
Yeah. So some actual G clamps or some Irwin quick clamps.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're on special. They're on special at Hammer.
And why a sheet? Why not make it a big vinyl? You get a frame, build a timber frame around this big white sheet of
do
vinyl.
it properly. Do it properly.
If you're going to do it.
If you're going to do it properly. And you can get what you need to do it properly. Where can you get it, boys? You can get it down aisle 300.
Left at the center line.
And if you hit a supporter, you've gone too far.
I wasn't expecting that.
Wow.
Neither was the supporter.
or a referee or something.
Or a
If you hit a
referee.
referee, you've gone way too far.
Way too far. Get him off.
Created and produced by Frank, Brendan and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, at HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley and Reese, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.